Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
Hi there. My name is Stephen Laddick. This is a little bit about my background and running online businesses. I've lived outside the United States for about 20 years, so I've always needed a business that runs primarily online with simple systems and low overhead. Over that time, I've built, bought, and sold a number of digital properties, including OurKids.com, MoodleNews.com, BKKKids.com, and SBAOpen.com. I've also owned, operated, and managed a full-scale consulting company for 15 years that I sold in 2018. So I have a lot of experiences taking online businesses from where they are to the next stage. And it serves a very specific community. My approach with these types of businesses is to modernize them and systematize the operation, and then make the value really clear for the people using it. Then I let the business run in a streamlined, systematized way. That's meant creating solid systems, keeping the technology and processes as simple as possible, and making sure the platform is useful and reliable enough that it can be operated by a small team or even a solo owner. I'm a solo owner with only part-time support.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
Pretty simple answer. I'm selling primarily as a focus and life decision. Over the years, I've built up a small portfolio of online businesses, and I'm at a point where I'm ready to move on to other investments. So it makes sense to cash out of this business right now. This isn't a distress sale. There's no crisis. It's actually a growing business. And it's super healthy and stable. And it has 3 solid revenue streams right now. First is paid classified ads. Yes, this community actually comes and still buys classified ads. It does display advertising through Mediavine on its blog. And it has a rapidly growing monetized YouTube channel. On top of that, there's still a ton of low-hanging fruit opportunities for the growth that I've not fully pursued. And I can see very clearly that a more hands-on owner or somebody who's super passionate about being an equestrian or super passionate about horses in general, they could take those opportunities and run with them. I would much rather pass the baton at this stage while the foundation is strong, the community trusts the platform, and the revenue streams are, diversified, than hold on to it and risk underinvesting in its growth. My intention is that the next owner steps into something solid and gets to enjoy unlocking that next chapter of upside.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
Here's the honest answer. At this point, I have systematized the business to the point where my role is really just supervision and managing the finances. I literally spend less than an hour per week. The day-to-day work is handled by a small remote team. I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who manages most of the frontline operations. She handles incoming communications. She approves classified ad purchases, she posts to social media, and she puts together and sends the weekly newsletter. I also work with a team in Kenya that's responsible for creating content, updating the blog, and producing long-form videos for the Faceless YouTube channel. So my involvement is mostly checking reports, making sure revenue and expenses look right, and stepping in only if there's an exception or a bigger decision to make. The business itself is very easy to run, and the next owner can choose to keep this kind of lean, systemized operation that I have right now, or you can choose to be much more hands-on and invest more time and energy into the growth and further diversification of the company.
So if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
It's hard to emphasize this enough, but part of the magic in this business is that it is genuinely the most well-known brand in Northern California. And you need to let that sink into your brain for a second because there's 8 million people in Northern California and there is a ton of horse owners. If you go and you do a search on where horses live in the United States, there's this one blotch in Northern California. There's some, near Kentucky. There's some in Virginia and whatnot, but this is a hub. And so this business has been around since 1998. Literally, it was built by two people, pre-Facebook, pre-Google, really. And there is a ton of goodwill and nostalgia to this business. Like you can go into our Facebook page and you can see people still talk about the good old days and what things used to be like and whatnot. And importantly, it's not just a legacy site. There is a very real active community of horse lovers who show up, they comment on social media, they buy and sell through the classifieds, and they're passionate about horses. That's another thing I just want to emphasize. Like horse owners are one of those communities that are just over the top fanatical about everything about horses. So if I were keeping the business, I'd really focus on a few key growth levers. First, I would absolutely keep building the YouTube channel. This thing is growing rapidly, it's growing predictably, and it's attracting an audience from around the world, which is fantastic. Best, it's already monetized, and it's a fantastic way to reach new people and deepen the brand globally. Second, I would invest in building out the business directory so that it becomes the go-to place to find barns and trainers and farriers and vets and other services, not only in the region, but you could actually connect that business directory and you could, if you're innovative around it, you could find other ways to make it a national system in the United States. That's a pretty big investment and a pretty big piece of time to go national. But if you start small in the Bay Area and get it right there, expanding it nationally would be kind of a no-brainer. I also see a big opportunity in offering services to local businesses. You got to understand that the horse lover universe, again, I can't emphasize this enough, that it's often a low-tech audience that would really benefit from simple automation solutions, marketing support, email support, these kinds of things. On top of that, there's a lot of room to build more value into the membership side of the business. So we offer a discount to people. They come in and they buy an annual membership with us, and then we offer them discounts for classified ads. So you could build out this membership in the business with things like premium webinars, online courses, discount programs, special offers. And then finally, I would definitely pursue more affiliate revenue through Amazon and horse-specific providers. We currently don't do any of that. But because the audience is highly targeted and already buying mindset when they come to us, putting Amazon affiliate pieces in the blog or in other, running campaigns specifically, et cetera, is really worth your time.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
Like any online marketplace or listing site, obviously has some risks. First, it relies mostly on organic traffic and word of mouth. So any big shift in Google or the algorithm or whatnot, that's going to definitely affect, your results with Mediavine and may even affect the traffic that comes to the site in general. And right now, it also serves a specific region and niche. So if, something happens, then that would obviously impact what happens there and the brand would need to shift over time. But because the blog is global in scope and, I've really done a lot of work over the last 3 years, moving it from this little niche brand to something that's global in nature, I don't think that's too big of a deal. There's obviously also competition from other platforms. There's also Facebook groups and other social channels. Again, this is a low-tech, often very interesting. The horse owners are either really rich and lots of money to spend on horses, or they're really not so well-to-do and they don't have a lot of money. So what am I trying to say about that? When they can usually find free solutions, they do. Structure, trust, discoverability, and the fact that this is a community that people trust. But a buyer should be aware that people do have alternatives. Finally, this is a business that definitely rewards active stewardship. So someone who's present in the community, who's nurturing relationships and innovating on the offer will do much better than someone who hopes that it will grow without any meaningful owner involvement. And I'm a proof of this, right? I bought the business, I modernized it, I took it to a point now where it is, but this is not my passion in life. And so I've been happy with how it plays out right now, but it's not going to get any bigger unless you really make this your thing. Then you don't have to, but that's how it's going to grow.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
This is a great business. It's really easy to hand over and it's pretty easy to understand how it works. I'm happy to offer whatever support you need for the next, 60 days, 90 days, whatever you need. We could do that over Zoom calls. We can do that over email. We can set up a Slack channel, whatever you want. Walking through the systems and getting you moving is going to be a very easy process. Well, probably questions that come up is, just sort of some of the nuances of the business and some of the nuances of and horses in general. There isn't like a huge list of key advertisers. There's a couple, 3, and I'm obviously going to make a warm introduction to those so that you know where those are at. And then a goal would be for you to feel confident operating the business without me I'm sure that we could do it in a 60-day period, but then I'm happy to, always be available for email support and whatnot. I'm not going to disappear.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earnout agreement?
My honest answer is I'm open to considering seller financing. That's the only type of anything that I would consider other than a straight purchase. And it has to be with the right buyer. So for some buyers, I know especially individuals or small operators, having a portion of the purchase price financed by the seller can make the deal more accessible and align our interests during the transaction or the transition, right? So the exact structure of that deal, like how much we finance and the repayment period and those kinds of conditions, whatever, that depends on the overall offer and your plans for the business. But I'm definitely willing to discuss it, and I'm happy to cut a deal that makes sense for everybody.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
This is an incredible business. You're going to be stepping into a business that has a built-in community, right? Almost 7,000 people on a list, an active Facebook page that has 15,000 people on it, a growing YouTube channel, a blog that's, worldwide and growing. So it's like there's just everything that you ever wanted that actually makes money every month. This is it. If you're not a horse lover and you just want a great online business that is a great new entrepreneurial opportunity, again, this is a really rare combination of something that's already stable and growing and then potential upside depending on how much work you want to put into it. You're getting a well-known, trusted brand in a passionate niche and a highly targeted audience. The operations they're lean and manageable. You could step right in and just do what I do right now, and you're going to get revenue every month and profit, right? And yet there's really several clear paths to grow revenue if you want to put more energy into it. In other words, you're not starting from zero. You're acquiring an existing position of trust in the Bay Area with existing traffic and income, and you have the chance to layer on modern marketing, new offers, and your own relationships to take it to the next level. So for the right buyer, that combination of a solid base plus obvious upside is very, very compelling.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.